The On Cloudsurfer was one of the most successful stories of 2023. This is version 2. Is it any better? Let's find out. Hey everyone and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex. In today's video we have the first impression review or this first impression of the On Cloudsurfer 2. This is the second iteration of the very popular On Cloudsurfer, and I just got back from my first run in this shoe, so this is really fresh out of the box first run in the On Cloudsurfer. You will get an update to this review in a few weeks, in a few months, once I get to a certain mileage in this shoe, but for now it's just first impressions. And without no further ado, let's dive into the specs. In terms of stack height, we're looking at 32mm of stack height in the heel, 23 in the forefoot for that 9mm drop. The weight for a man's sample size, which is a US 10 at On, is 280 grams, and we'll find out together here in a second what's the weight in my size, US 11 EU 45. We're looking at 287 grams, so very close to the sample size, which makes me think that even the sample size might be a bit lighter than what On is claiming, which is a good thing. 287 for a daily trainer, that kind of all-rounder shoe, which is the Cloudsurfer, is a good weight. Good job there. In terms of price point, we're looking at $160, 170 euros, which, you know, I think is a fair ask, especially for a brand like On that usually goes a bit too high in terms of prices. This seems quite reasonable. The upper of the On Cloudsurfer 2 has been entirely redesigned. There is a more breathable mesh, which is a good thing because this shoe was running a bit hot for many people in the first version of it, in the OG Cloudsurfer, if that makes sense. The eyelid chain has been reinforced. There are some TPU elements, some TPU overlays to make it a bit more durable, which is a very good thing. The heel cup has been entirely redesigned as well. It sits a bit lower, and overall it feels like it's more welcoming, it's more secure, which again, I think is a great addition. It is very comfortable. It's not just something that On did and you can't really notice it. You do notice the redesigned heel cup, heel design, and yes, it brings some extra comfort. The tongue is also a bit more straightforward. There was that sort of 2-layer of material on the original tongue. This is kind of a more one-piece traditional tongue that works quite well. It's non-gusseted, but because the shoe fits relatively snug, there's no moving of the tongue at all. The midfoot lockdown is really good. And overall, the upper of this shoe feels like an elevated version of the previous one, which I, to be honest, wasn't a huge fan of, especially because of the thickness of the material. This is a bit more straightforward, a bit lighter, a bit more, yeah, just more easygoing, let's say. Looking at the midsole, we also have some new elements here. There is a slightly different version of CloudTec Phase. Remember, CloudTec Phase is that kind of new version of CloudTec, the very, very recognizable on clouds. CloudTec Phase has been designed with an AI software that creates a very specific pattern of the clouds that are collapsing like dominoes. And On went ahead and used that same tool. They call it the FEA, Finite Element Analysis, and this tool kind of redesigned very slightly, but you can feel it, the On CloudTec Phase technology on this shoe. How does it translate in terms of ride? We'll see that in a second. There's another change in this midsole, and that's the addition of some reinforcement in the midsole to make it more durable, because like you probably know, the original Cloudsurfer had 2 issues with the midsole. The first one, the biggest one, was the squeaking of the midsole. And I'm very happy to share with you that it's gone, at least based on my first run experience, because again, this is a first impression video. And then the second issue was the durability. The clouds were working really well and providing a lot of comfort to a certain extent and to a certain mileage. And then they felt a bit dead, a bit too compressed, and their lifespan wasn't ideal. So this is supposed to remove the squeaking, and On is not saying that it's supposed to remove the squeaking, but I'm pretty sure they also had this in mind when they changed the midsole. And obviously to make it more durable, which we'll see how it performs in time. Ride of the shoe, and this is also very interesting to share with you because it doesn't quite ride like the original On Cloudsurfer, which was very soft, very soft, very plush, very mushy, super, you know, super kind of easygoing to a certain extent, but you had to work a lot with your feet muscles. This shoe is very different. It is providing you with a much more firmness, density underfoot. I do almost feel like there is now a very little heel bias, kind of preventing you from collapsing too much on the medial side. It's not super big, but this is the first thing that I noticed in the shoe, kind of being, you know, very aligned in my foot strike, in my foot pattern, in my gait cycle pattern, sorry. So I'm not sure if this is on purpose or if it's a geometry thing or if it's just like a reinforcement here on the medial side to prevent too much collapsing. but that's one of the things I noticed when running in the shoe. The density of the midsole, I'm very happy with it because I wasn't a huge fan of how soft the original Cloudsurfer was. This is much more something that I am enjoying here in this version. Close to the ground, 32, 23 millimeters in the forefoot is something that was very, very popular a few years ago, and nowadays it feels like you are really close to the ground in the forefoot, which is not a bad thing. I did pick up the pace in my first run with the shoe, and I was very pleased to see how kind of responsive, but you know, not necessarily in that energy release or displacement type of feeling that you have on some other shoes. This was energetic and responsive in a very direct way, in a very almost aggressive way, whereas the heel is much more, you know, welcoming, pleasant, but much more denser than the original Cloudsurfer. If you had issues with pronation or with the softness of the original Cloudsurfer, if you couldn't take the original Cloudsurfer past 10k, 10 miles because of how soft it was, this will address all these issues. If you had your feet running too hot in the original Cloudsurfer, this should also be a better upper for you. And I mean, if you enjoyed the Cloudsurfer for the softness, the mushiness, then you probably should look at something else, simply because this is really addressing all the concerns that I had personally and that some other people had with the Cloudsurfer. If you didn't have these concerns, then maybe this update will not float your boat. However, $160, €170, I think is a fairly decent price. I would maybe remove 10 units, so $150, €160 would have been ideal. But what you get here is an all-rounder that will probably suit more people than the OG Cloudsurfer. I hope you enjoyed this first impression video. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks a lot for watching. Enjoy your run today, enjoy your ride, go beyond your limits, and let's link to the review of the LS, the Cloudboom Strike LS, a fantastic innovation that unreleased last year. Thanks for watching, bye-bye.